Man, oh man, has it been a minute since I brought you guys some bets, but I'm back. My name's Papa Minnow, and I'm here to bring you the best bang for your buck in the NBA All-Star edition of the Casual Fan Podcast, the hardest working, most accurate, most entertaining sports gambling podcast on YouTube. This is your weekend look at the NBA All-Star game, where I'll give you guys some surefire bets that are guaranteed to win you guys some easy money. But before we start, be sure to like and subscribe to the Casual Fan Podcast. And if you want to berate or praise me for my bets, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Pops.Culture or on Twitter at PapaOMinnow. With that said, let's get into the first event, the Rising Stars Challenge. So the NBA decided to take a different approach to this year's NBA Rising Stars Challenge. All of them will be competing in 3 games to a final score of 75 points to commemorate the 75th anniversary season of the NBA. The first 2 games will be played until a team hits 50 points, and then a 3rd game will be played until that team hits 25. This year round, Team Isaiah are the favorites at plus 170, meaning if you bet $100, you'd win $70. And they sport the likes of Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Halliburton, as well as Desmond Bane, who's been on fire this year. Team Barry comes in at 2nd with odds at plus 260, and they've got a pretty well-constructed team. You got Evan Mobley, who's shown his prowess at center this year, and you got the likes of some shooters and guys like Jashawn Tate, and if I'm pronouncing his name right, Franz Wagner. With the new format, it's really hard to commit to a team here. I don't know what the ups and downs are going to be. I don't even know what the point spreads are going to be like. So for my personal bets, I would stay away from this game. But if I did have to pick, I'd probably go with Team Isaiah just because they have a really stacked team. They've got a lot of talent. You've got Anthony Edwards, like I said earlier. He's been an absolute stud for his team in Minnesota. And then you've also got the supporting cast of Tyrese Halliburton and Desmond Bane, who've also been really good for their respective teams as well too. So just on talent alone, I'd definitely go with them. The rest of the teams, Team Barry might be a good sleeper pick. They've got a well-constructed team, so they might be a good second pick. But the other 2 teams, definitely stay away from them. They don't have much talent, and talent is what wins you these All-Star games. Next up is the Skills Challenge. This event has also made some drastic changes, and it'll consist of 3 teams of 3 players competing in 3 different challenges until they finally advance to the final round of making a half-court shot. Those 3 teams consist of Team Cavs, who sports the like of Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and Jared Allen. And then on the other side, you've also got Team Antetokounmpo, which features the Antetokounmpo brothers in Giannis, Alex, and Thanasis. And then on the other side, you have Team Rooks, which consists of Scotty Barnes, Cade Cunningham, and Josh Giddey. Given the nature of this event, I feel like Team Rooks is probably the best pick to go with here. They're more well-rounded in a competition that involves shooting, passing, and dribbling. And I just think that that lends really well to them. You know, you've seen Giannis struggle with his shot from here and there. Who knows what Alex and Thanasis are going to bring to this as well too. And then when you look at Team Cavs, they've got 2 centers playing in this competition as well too. And that doesn't really bode too well when it comes to making shots or passing and showing your passing ability as well too. So if I had to put my money on it, I would definitely go with Team Rooks here. Now we move on to the most electrifying competition of the All-Star weekend, the 3-point competition. This year features a lot of great shooters, so it's going to be really hard to decipher who's going to be the top crown at the end of it. But we've got the likes of Desmond Bane, CJ McCollum, Zach LaVine, Fred VanVleet, Patty Mills, Luke Kennard, Trae Young, and Karl Anthony Towns. Last year, Steph Curry took the crown. That was the first time I started taking this competition since 2016 in Toronto when his teammate Klay Thompson ended up winning. So I like the trend of the underdog probably winning this competition once again. I'd keep my eyes on these 3 guys to take the competition because they're really good shooters. First up, we've got Patty Mills, who's been a bona fide shooter his entire career. But this year, he's shooting at an astronomical rate of 41.9% from the floor, whilst attempting 7.7 attempts per game. Those numbers are just through the roof here. So it's hard to bet against this guy in this competition. On the other hand, we've got Luke Kennard, who's had a pretty up and down season this year. He hasn't had the same playing minutes that he normally does, so it's been inconsistent with his game. But when he does happen to hit the floor, he can still make a huge impact from 3. This is a pretty much almost a guaranteed lock if you had to pick someone as well too. Lastly, we've got Fred VanVleet, who's a first-time All-Star and whose motto has been to defy the odds his entire career. He's been betting on himself his whole life, and it's definitely paid off for his NBA career. This year, he comes into the competition shooting 40.1% from the floor, whilst attempting 10.1 attempts per game. They don't call him Steady Freddy for nothing. He's been an absolute core for this Raptors team, and it's no wonder that he's an All-Star this year. He does have some knee issues coming into this competition, but he should be good to go on Saturday night. He's definitely one of the top 3 picks for this competition. For my pick, I would definitely have to take Patty Mills. He just seems like a bona fide lock. With the percentage he's shooting and the attempts he's got and his shooting stroke, I definitely have to give it up to him, and that would be my choice to win the three-point competition this year. Next up, we got the dunk competition. Now, the dunk competition has definitely lost some of its luster in the last few years. We haven't had a really good competition since 2016 in Toronto when we got Aaron Gordon going up against Zach LaVine. That was definitely one of the most electrifying NBA dunk competitions in recent memory. This year, no one really stands out, but there definitely are some high flyers in here. My pick would probably be Jalen Green. He's a 6'5" guard, and he's got some really flashy in-game dunks that we've seen time and time again. I think just for his size and his flair, that lends really well to the dunk competition. So even if you happen to see him make a pretty safe dunk, his flair would definitely give him some points when it comes to the dunks that he happens to choose. Obi Toppin has some experience in that he's a repeat participant for this year's competition, but his height was definitely a disadvantage for him last time, and I don't think he's grown any shorter in the past few years. So for that reason, I definitely stay away from choosing him. I don't really think it's going to be a good fit for him, and I really do think that Jalen Green should be the victor when it comes down to it in this competition. If you wanted a sleeper pick, you could definitely take Cole Anthony. I have seen some of his dunk competition contests in the past. He did some pretty nice dunks. Nothing too crazy, but he's someone to look out for if you want to grab a sleeper pick for this competition. Last but not least, we've got the All-Star Game. So this year's All-Star Game, we'll see Team LeBron go up against Team Durant. We've seen Team LeBron win the competition the last 4 years, and I don't expect that trend to change. LeBron's drafting abilities have always been on point. It's no surprise that they call him Le GM because of that. He knows how to pick players, and he knows how to get guys who are going to score and win these types of competitions. There's not much value in the money line here, but if you do want to get a good value bet, I would definitely take Team LeBron at minus 5.5 favorites. I do think they'll win by more than 5 points, so they should be a good lock for that, especially since Durant's not playing. Going into this year's competition as well too, I don't really think it's going to be a high scoring affair. I think that a lot of the stars are dealing with some minor injuries that's going to make them want to play more lax than really competitive than we've seen in some of the last few competitions. So for my bet and a value bet here, I think you should really go with the under 321. I definitely don't think they're going to score as many points as they did last year, just for that reason of the injuries, as well as having a lot of new first timers in this lineup. So maybe the lights might get to them a little bit on that stage. So I feel like the value bet of under 321 is definitely a really solid pick here. And for my MVP selection of the All-Star Game, I would definitely go with DeMar DeRozan, who's been absolutely marvelous this season. He's an MVP candidate for the regular season, and he's coming in on one of the greatest streaks in NBA history of scoring 35 plus points in 7 consecutive games while shooting over 50% from the floor. This is a stat that hasn't been done since the likes of Wilt Chamberlain, and we all know he's one of the all-time greats. So for that reason, I really expect DeMar DeRozan to be the MVP of the All-Star Game this year. I also think that Steph Curry would be a good sleeper pick here as well too. The NBA All-Star Game always lends well to hot shooters, and Steph Curry can light it up in an All-Star Game. So he'd be a good sleeper pick as well for Team LeBron. Now, if you are favoring Team Durant and you do have some conviction that they're probably gonna win, I'd probably go with Ja Morant for my MVP pick, just because he's been an absolute stud this season for the Memphis Grizzlies. And if Team Durant does happen to win, he'll be a huge reason why. So that'll do it. Thank you to everyone who watched, liked, and subscribed to the Casual Fan Podcast. Be sure to do so if you haven't done so already, and then also make sure to follow us on our social medias. Once again, you can find me on Instagram at pops.culture or on Twitter at Papa O Minnow. Happy betting. See you in the next one.